quiet there. Let me move on. I'm going to deal now with the Caribbean Court of Justice. My God, that revelation over the weekend. The revelation over the weekend about what is going on at the Caribbean Court of Justice, Guyana's highest court. It is earth-shattering. I mean, it is earth-shattering. Now, let me give you a little background. I'm going to play 2 tapes about it. That's the Caribbean Court of Justice, CCJ, has 12 member states in its original jurisdiction. Well, it has 2 jurisdictions, the original jurisdiction and the appellate jurisdiction. They say they have 12 member states in the original jurisdiction. And the original jurisdiction handles regional trade laws, things about rules of origin and things to do with the rules and interpretation of the Treaty of Chagaramas, which brought CARICOM into being and so on. So that's the original jurisdiction. Then they have the appellate jurisdiction. And of the 12 members who are part of the original jurisdiction, only 5 members are signed on to the appellate jurisdiction, which then means that is the final court of appeal. And those 5 members are Barbados, Belize, Dominica, Guyana, and St. Lucia. Only them, of all the members, others are signing on. So even though the Caribbean Court of Justice is headquartered in Trinidad, Trinidad is not a member of the appellate jurisdiction. They still go all the way to the Privy Council. Jamaica, all the way to the Privy Council, right? And many other countries, they go to the Privy Council. And people used to argue, well, why, you get your own court, you're still going back to the colonial thing. But perhaps we are seeing now why that is so. We are seeing why that is so. People don't get trust in the a lot of countries. Look, the mere fact that those countries, right, 7 of them, I think, have not signed on to the Caribbean Court of Justice being the final court, tells a story. It tells a story. The people from Lang and get trust in the court, including Jamaica, including Trinidad. They said, nah, let's retain the Privy Council in England as our final court of appeal. That is what they have done. So what happened over the weekend? Let me play 2 tapes. Let me play 2 tapes. Hope I had difficulty this morning uploading these tapes, I had difficulty. So yeah, I didn't get to upload one of them. One of them came through this morning. I didn't get to upload. But listen to this one.
If the judges inside the Caribbean's highest court are reportedly questioning its leadership, then every Caribbean citizen should be paying attention, because this controversy strikes at the heart of justice itself. An explosive Sunday Express report alleges that 5 of the CCJ's 6 sitting judges raised serious concerns about the leadership of CCJ President Justice Winston Anderson. The reported accusations include dictatorial management, anti-democratic decision-making, panel fixing, which means allegedly selecting particular judges to hear particular cases, and attempts to influence court decisions. Even more concerning, the recent Muhammad case involving Guyana was reportedly among the cases mentioned in the internal correspondence. This raises questions about how that judicial panel was selected and whether the decision-making process was completely independent. However, these remain allegations, not proven facts, and they do not automatically invalidate the Muhammad judgment. But allegations this serious cannot be ignored. The Caribbean public deserves an independent investigation, complete transparency, and a clear response from the CCJ, because when confidence in the justice system is shaken, the credibility of every judgment is placed under a cloud of suspicion.
Yeah, but the CCJ, Caribbean Court of Justice, they have, let me tell you who the members are. They have Mr. Justice Winston Anderson, who is the center of this controversy now. He's the president, he's from Jamaica. You have Madam Justice Maureen Rajnath Lee. She is from Trinidad and Tobago. You have Mr. Justice Dennis Barrow from Belize. You have Mr. Justice Peter Jamadar from Trinidad and Tobago. You have Madam Justice Chantal Onawua, I don't know if I pronounce it correctly, from Jamaica. You have Justice Chili Ibo Osoji, he's Nigeria and Canada. And you have, I think, the latest justice on that court is Justice Arif Bulkan from Guyana. So those are the members of the CCJ. And as we said, the CCJ is Guyana's final court of appeal. So once you move your system through, you go through the magistrate court, you go through the high court, you go through the court of appeal, you go through full court. When the matter gets to the CCJ, that is the final court of appeal. But now, as we have seen with all these allegations, we're going to discuss it. One has to question the integrity of that body, given what the allegations, some of the allegations that I made. And let me say this. The fact that what we are hearing is coming out from other members of the court tells us, or should tell us, that you still have people there with integrity. You have members of that court with integrity. But somehow they're claiming that the president of the court has portrayed dictatorial tendencies. They're further alleging that he seeks to manipulate decisions of the court. Those are serious allegations. And I'm sorry I did not get to, I am unable to download a particular video I wanted to show this morning coming out from Trinidad. I've been trying to get it, but somehow the platform is not uploading. I'm going to try again before the end of this program. The people are complaining, and let me read something here. Oh, come on. Let me read what is being said. I want to read something somebody said. Bear with me. I got a little technical issues here now. All right, here this way. Because one of the more scathing emails, this is what was revealed in the Trinidad Express, and I listened to it yesterday. Because yesterday morning when I got up and scanning the news and so on, I saw this article from Trinidad Express about the CCJ, and it attracted my attention. But some of you may know, some articles from some of these posts and so on, you can read or you can listen. So with this article from Trinidad Express, I listened to it. I lay there and I listened to it. And I believe what was revealed by one of the judges. Because 5 judges, the court is comprised of 6 judges, and 5 of them are complaining about the president's behavior. 5 of them are complaining about the president's behavior. 5 out of 6. 5 can't be wrong. So this is the justice Judge Osuji is saying. In the Mohammed's case, we know what we talk about the Mohammed case, decided on the 29th, where the authority to proceed issued by the Minister of Home Affairs for the extradition process in Guyana, Asidi Mohammed and his father challenged it. And the decision was rendered on the 29th of July. Right? And here what the judge is saying. This is what is revealed in an email. And before I go to it, you got to find out how Trinidad Express got the email. How Trinidad Express got the email that was exchanged among the judges in the CCJ. Right? Questions to be asked and answered. So here what it says. Quote, in the Mohammed's case, it was stunning to hear Winston, that is this is Justice Osuji, referring to the president by his foreseeing. Familiar, all them are judges. In the Mohammed's case, it was stunning to hear Winston pointedly inform us that he was going to announce a decision of the court at a time and in a manner in which a clear majority of his colleagues had very strongly communicated to him as inappropriate. Let me pause there. Whatever it is saying that Justice Winston Sanders decided that he was going to communicate, he's going to announce a decision of the court. This is in the Mohammed extradition case. At a time and in a manner in which the clear majority of his colleagues had very strongly communicated to him as inappropriate. So the other member says it's inappropriate to announce the decision at the particular time. That is what it's saying. Let me go on. He added, there is, of course, a surreal problem in all of this. It is that an apex court who decides question as the final arbiter of the rule of law and democracy according to the rule of law would labor so badly under a leader that does not believe in the ethos of democracy in his own leadership. Damning, scathing comment. Marcel, judge is telling the other judge, who is the president, he not believe in the ethos of democracy in his own leadership. In concluding his email, Justice Osoji called for an urgent meeting of all the judges before the dispute became public. Well, it's public already. So this was an internal email. Many persons, I think all the judges were in the exchange, and somehow this thing became public. Justice Osoji, the warning, let me get together, let me meet before this thing become public. And somebody, I'm reading here from someone, and I share the view, because the person says, while I hold no brief for opposition leader Assaduddin Mohammed, these revelations are damning to say the least. A fair trial is a fundamental legal right of every person. Hopefully, pressure will be brought to bear and President Winston Anderson will be forced to step down. Where does it end? When the confidence and trust in the court is eroded. I hate to say it, but perhaps Guyana was better off with the Privy Council. I share the same view. That is a view from that somebody wrote a post, and I am sharing that post because I concur with what they said. When you don't have faith in the apex court, where are we going? Where are we going? When this is not people who are litigants are complaining because they feel aggrieved that the decision might have gone against them. These are members of the court. These are judges within the same court who are pointing these things out. Judges in the court are pointing these things out. Right? And here, let me tell you something. They say, let me understand what's going on here. And I had my misgivings since 2020 and thereafter about this Court of Appeal. Anderson Sanders was the man then, I think. The president was Justice Sanders, who had come to Guyana and had interacted with political people and all that, which a lot of people felt was inappropriate, right? Interacted with politicians and so on. A lot of people voiced the view that it was inappropriate for the president of the apex court to be in Guyana interacting with politicians, whether they are from the ruling side or the opposition side. People felt it was inappropriate. And then what we had, y'all remember 2020 elections? Following the elections, you had the issue with votes and what was valid votes, what was invalid votes, and all this type of thing. Y'all remember? That matter went all the way to the CCJ. But before it got there, the issue was, in Guyana, what was valid votes? Because complaints were made and a recount was done, and during the course of the recount, when the ballot boxes were opened, a lot of irregularities were discovered. Many ballot boxes without statutory documentation. People said on the lower East Coast, the irregularities were massive, and it could not have been coincidental. It was felt that it was an orchestrated rigging on the lower East Coast. So they went through the process and they do all kind of thing, and then The question was that whether the votes in the ballot boxes that did not contain the statutory documents, whether those votes could be considered valid votes. And I think GCOM had said that the votes were invalid. That matter went to the Court of Appeal in Guyana. And the Court of Appeal ruled that only, I think I'm paraphrasing here, they ruled to the effect that those votes should not be considered valid because they didn't have the statutory documents to accompany them. And it should not be considered valid. That is what the Appeal Court of Guyana ruled in a 2-1 decision. 2 judges ruled that it should not be considered valid. 1 judge ruled that it should be. And the effect of that ruling was that the coalition, if that was to proceed, the coalition would have been declared the winner of the election. Right? Follow me here, follow me. The PPP then decided that they were going to take this matter to the Court of Appeal. They're going to go to the Court of Appeal. And then it was revealed that Article 177(4) of the Constitution of Guyana said that in matters like those, the decision of the Court of Appeal, Guyana's Court of Appeal, was the final decision. Here what the article says. Again, I say I'm not a lawyer. So if I ain't get it right, let some lawyer come and correct me. Right? Here what the Article 177(4) says. The Court of Appeal shall have exclusive jurisdiction to hear and determine any question as to the validity of an election of a president, insofar as the question depends upon the qualification of any person for election or the interpretation of this Constitution. And any decision of that court under this paragraph shall be final. Article 177(4). So Article 177(4) was interpreted to mean that once the Court of Appeal in Guyana ruled, because they wanted interpretation, and the interpretation was to whether what is a valid vote. That was the main interpretation. What is a valid vote? And the Constitution said, election or interpretation of this Constitution, and the Guyana Appeal Court interpreted that to mean that votes in ballot boxes that did not have statutory documents should not be considered valid votes. They went to the CCJ. Remember again, Guyana Constitution said, right, that the decision of that court under this paragraph shall be final. That is to say, the decision of the appeal court in Guyana as to whether these votes are valid or not should be final. The CCJ, the Caribbean Court of Justice, gave itself the authority to override what the Guyana Constitution says. It ruled that it had the authority to go into the matter. And it went into the matter, and as I said, the rest is history. So since then, I say if the Guyana Constitution specifically states that the decision of the Court of Appeal in matters of that nature to interpret that is final, how the CCJ getting involved? How the CCJ, but they got involved. They claimed that they had jurisdiction to deal with the matter, and they dealt with the matter. And as a result of them dealing with the matter, then that's what we get now. This kleptocracy, that's what we get is because of them, right? Now, as I say, we tell you about the 2 jurisdictions. Don't forget, you know, as I tell you all, I love research, you know, love research. It widens your thoughts and so on. Can you all remember the third term matter? Third term, let me tell you how I want it. Yeah, share the life, share the life. Third term, when the 1980 Constitution, let's call them the Burnham Constitution, yes. When the 1980 Constitution was promulgated, there was no clause dealing with term limits. In other words, a president can be re-elected forever and ever in perpetuity. Could be elected forever and ever. June 2003, I think it was, there was some amendments to the Constitution. Now, in order for a constitution, any provision of the constitution to be amended, you have to get 2/3 majority, which they call a super majority, right? You got to get 2/3 of the member of the parliament to pass any amendment to the constitution. It's not an ordinary amendment, right? So it's not just an ordinary majority, 33 against 32. And no. You got to get a 2/3 majority. The matter in parliament, I think Mr. Corbyn was the leader of the opposition again. Jagdeo was the president, serving his third term basically because he had served out the term of Janet Jagan. Then he was re-elected twice. So this matter came up, and both parties, remember the 2/3 majority you got to get to change the constitution. Both parties agreed to have term limits, meaning that a president, you can't be a president for more than 2 terms. Both parties, the PPP and the APNU, don't think it was APNU then, PNCR at the time, they agreed that 2 terms and that's it. They agreed. So PPP agreed and PNCR agreed. When Jagdeo's second term, the second elected term, because the first term he wasn't elected, when that was coming to an end, they decided to challenge that. They agreed. You see all these people nasty? Gangsterism at its best. They agreed. They agreed to it. And then when this term was coming to an end, they moved to the court to challenge the constitutionality of that amendment to the Constitution that they had agreed with. The matter worked its way to the courts in Guyana. And Ian Chan, a lot of things, he's dead now, the late Ian Chan, ruled that, let me put it this way. They argued that the Constitution, the amendment meant that you cannot serve more than 2 consecutive terms. The word consecutive wasn't there, but they were inserting the word consecutive. They go to Chan, and Chan agreed with them. So Chan was actually ruled to say that Jagdeo can run again. That is what Ian Chan ruled, that Jagdeo can run again. The matter was appealed to Guyana Appeal Court, and the appeal court agreed with Chan that Jagdeo can run again. Can't remember who were the people in the appeal court at the time, but maybe I'll research that to let you know. The rule that the Jagdeo can run again. That matter went to the CCJ, Caribbean Court of Justice. And the Caribbean Court of Justice ruled in a 5-1 decision, right? That Jagdeo can run. That there's nothing about 2 consecutive terms. He said 2 terms. The word consecutive wasn't there. And therefore, the CCJ ruled that Jagdeo can run again. 5-1. You know who gave the one dissenting decision? You want to take a bet who gave the dissenting decision? Winston Anderson. The same president of the court now. He was the man who gave a dissenting decision, basically saying that Jagdeo can run again for president. The other 5 members of the court, including Justice Sanders, who was the president then, said no. It's a 6-1 decision, rather. Thank you, Winston. 6-1 decision. It was a 6-1 decision, and Anderson was a dissenting view. Six persons say Jagdeo can't run again, according to the amendment to the Constitution. 6 said. And Winston Anderson, who is now the president, who is now being accused of dictatorial management of the court and all that type of thing. He said he had a lone dissenting view that Jagdeo can run again. He had that view that Jagdeo can run again. Let me tell you all further. We had this story a few months ago, this very year, with the removal, the unceremonious removal of Justice, the acting Chancellor, Janet Cummins Edwards, removed. She went on leave. When she went on leave, Justice Madam Roxanne Jarge moved up to act as Chancellor, and Justice Navindra Singh moved to act as Chief Justice. When Madam Cummins resumed and moved to back to her office as the acting Chancellor, Justice Roxanne George moved back to our position as acting Chief Justice, only to discover that the man who was sitting there decided, me not move. Yet moving. Yet we learned that Justice Cummings, I think the president made the announcement that Justice Cummings had decided to take early retirement. We learned that Justice Cummings decided that she's going to take early retirement, the acting chancellor. And people said, a lot of people, including me, said, that didn't make sense. This person was on leave, right? Person resumed to take up office. And then a day after or so after you hear the person saying that they're taking early retirement. If they wanted to take early retirement, one would suggest they would have never resumed early retirement. And it is a view of many, including me, that she was forced out from the position of acting chancellor. And it is said that perhaps one of the reasons why she was forced out had to do with the same decision relating to the interpretation of the Constitution about valid votes. That is what was said. Do you know that the very weekend when this thing happened, the very weekend when Justice Janet Cummings Edwards was forced out, the president of the court, Winston Anderson, was in Guyana. Do you know he was in Guyana at the time? And therefore the question is asked, did he play a role in the removal of the acting chancellor? Did he play a role in the removal of acting chancellor Janet Cummings? He was in Guyana during that time. He was in Guyana during that time. Yeah, he was in Guyana during that time. So again, coming back to the court, when the court acts in a manner, it is acting. And again, I want to emphasize, this is not a question of a dissatisfied litigant bringing this thing to attention. This is the judges, and note plural, the judges, because all the judges wrote or concurred with those who wrote in the email exchange. All of them say about the manner. And then they talk about some damning thing, because the people say the man is manipulating the court to get certain judges to give certain decisions. That is the allegation from his colleagues, that he is manipulating the court to get certain judges to give certain decisions favorable to certain parties. My God, and you want to tell me that this man must remain there, and we must have confidence in decisions of the court? And this is not about the Mohammed case alone. This is not about the Mohammed case. Sorry I didn't get, let me see if I can get the thing, because I really wanted to play this this tape. There's a tape coming out of Trinidad this morning. I saw it there, and I tried downloading it, but I got in some difficulty to download it. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to, just continue to share. I'm going to give you a little intermission. I want to give you the intermission. I'm going to try to get this tape, because I really wanted you to see this tape. I really want you to see this tape. So what I'm going to do, let me, what do I play at this time? Hold on. Let me play Bob Marley for you and as a look.
Oh yeah. sad tomorrow. Woe to the down presser. They eat the bread of sorrow. Oh yeah, oh yeah. Guiltiness rest on their conscience. Oh yeah, oh yeah. These are the big fish who always try to eat down the small fish. Just a small fish. And I tell you what, they would do anything to materialize their every wish. Oh yeah, but woe to the downtrodden. They'll eat the bread of sorrow. Woe to the downtrodden. They'll eat the bread of sad tomorrow. Woe to the downtrodden. They'll eat the bread of sad tomorrow. Oh yeah, oh yeah. Guiltiness. Oh yeah, oh. They'll eat the bread of sorrow every day. They'll eat the bread of sad tomorrow.
Yeah, I'm still trying to get it. I've downloaded it, but it's to get it to upload into the program. I don't know what is going on, but I would really love for you to hear what is the take out of Trinidad in relation to the CCJ, because they're calling for the CARICOM heads to meet to determine the fate. I don't know what process has to be undergone to get Anderson to either step aside. I don't know what the process is, but this is something that has brought the court into disrepute, because if allegations are made, again, I say this is not allegations about dissatisfied litigants. These are other members of the court, his colleagues are making these damning allegations. And when you look at the past, I talk about the CCJ with the Guyana election matter back in 2020, right? Look at that. Even before that, CCJ with the Tortom and the same Anderson fella ruling 6-1, he was the only dissenting view. Then when you look at the Madam Janet Cummins unceremonious removal, he was there, he was around the weekend or around the same time. And the question is asked, right? Did he play a role in the removal? And some people are suggesting, yes, he did play a role. Because it is said, I read somewhere, where he interacted with the then leader of the opposition, Aubrey Norton. And Aubrey, I want to say some of the discussions that were held. But based on what is being gleaned, what I gleaned, is that he sought to influence certain decisions. He sought to influence certain decisions. And you want to tell me, if we have to maintain confidence in this court, this man, who clearly now his colleagues do not trust, he can remain there? He can remain there? Because justice must not only be done, but justice must appear to be done. Appear to be done. And again, I go back to say, perhaps that is why many of the countries have not signed on to the CCJ being the final court of appeal. They haven't. They prefer to go to Privy Council. They prefer to go to the Privy Council rather than having the Caribbean Court of Justice. Right? This is an indictment against the Caribbean Court of Justice. And I say, before I come out for this matter, I say, while you talk about the Court of Justice as a body, the fact that other justices were brave enough or were moved to raise their concerns is a comforting thing. We should take comfort from the fact that we have justices there who were prepared to call out the president of the court. So the question, how do they relate to him now? What type of interaction they're going to get? if 5 of them agree that he operated like a dictator, I would think that any reasonable person would want to think that he should move on, man. He should move on. Right? Right? He should move on. That is what a lot of people, I feel so, because you got to try somehow to restore confidence in the court. You have to restore confidence in the court. And I can't see confidence being restored in the court when the president, against whom all these allegations are made, remains there. I can't see that. Can't see that. So as I said, this thing, I don't know why I'm getting issues this morning. All morning, you get problems in uploading and downloading stuff. All morning, right? All morning. So what I'm going to do, however, this is such an important matter that I will try to get it done between today and when I finish here, whatever I have to do. So this is a matter we have to revisit. This is a matter that we have to revisit. But let me move on to this other subject as I try to fill in